Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we're going to be discussing our continuing Oathsworn campaign. We're doing a spoiler-filled discussion of chapters 1, 2, and 3, and we're talking about cards versus dice. Again, we'll remind you, this will have spoilers for the campaign here. We are going through the campaign. We've already done a video. This is video 2, jumping into the first few chapters, okay? So we're jumping right into chapter 1, which is going to be your introduction to the world. Mm-hmm. It's going to give you tonally what is happening in this world and set in place a structure that it seems they're sticking to pretty strictly for the most part, which is a town part of the game. You move around, you have encounters, you do tests, what have you, and then a big boss fight. Yep. That seems to be the structure. In the world here, there is kind of this big cloud over everything, which is the wild woods, or the Deepwood, right. And it is incredibly oppressive, even though we haven't, we kind of came in from it at the very beginning of the story. We're in Bastogne, the town we're in. It's very grimy, very medieval. Right. It's very, the forest itself is kind of a living entity. Like you said, It's kind of shrouded in this mystery. People are disappearing into it. They don't know. It's kind of like the dark forest, if you will. Yeah, if it claims you, if you're walking out there and it just takes you, it's like, well, right, you're gone. The whole thing is very oppressive, and it's the mood and the storytelling. Grim, right? Grim dark is sort of the genre this is, and very much immediately from chapter 1 you get that. Yes. And you're also presented with a little bit of a whodunit or a mystery about disappearances, and you are trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. You eventually make it down. I guess we did. I don't know if you have to, I guess, but we made it down to the sewers, found a guy down there who was like a rat catcher, and figured out, okay, the big bad here is this giant monstrosity of a rat with little rat
the brood mother, I think she was called. The brood mother with her little broods. Which was really cool. Babies. Brood babies, which was cool because the combat was interesting, and you have your one big main one that you're having to take out from multiple locations, but then you have the little brood as well, which are easy to take out, but just really a nuisance. And they keep respawning. They do, yeah. So the whole thing, I think, did a good job serving up an introduction to the world. It did. I think it really introduced the world well, both the city and kind of understanding the city that you're part of. You're kind of the heroes of the town, but then also the second part, venturing out in the Deepwood and kind of giving you that feel, but also left you with enough questions and intrigue about both. It didn't answer all your it didn't unroll the whole world for you. Yeah. It just kind of gave you a little flavor, and you're like, there's something going on here. It feels like a good first episode of a TV show. Yes. Where you find out... Yeah. You find out a lot about, the way this world looks, feels, who you are. People are like, oh, you are a company, a free company. Yeah. Oh, okay, come in. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I guess we're important around you're like, here. Well, don't mind if I do. Right. That's how I walk. So you get, you get that feeling very quickly. But then the moving around town to different locations and reading a little story and finding out what's going on there, who you meet, what they want, how you can help. It does a good job with that. I thought it was a nice balance of it's a good sort of middle of the road first chapter to get you accustomed to what's going on in the game. Yeah. We still had some issues during that first campaign with rules, especially combat rules. There's still, there are many combat rules. If you want to, by the way, you should be watching all these videos, but go check out go back and check out the first one, which was about rules questions. Right. So check that out. Still, obviously, had a couple of issues, but it starts to roll after here. It does. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 2, then, presented as something new, like a new sort of tonal idea, and that is that our team of people
our free company, seem to be haunted by memories.
Yes.
And there are overt supernatural topics at hand here.
And it was the first time that we really felt that choice, I guess, of investigation. Okay,
Right.
do you want to kind of lean into these dreams and visions you're having and investigate and ask questions?
Yeah.
Or do you want to ask questions about what's happening in the Deepwood? We chose the Deepwood way and kind of like, we'll figure out the visions. They'll haunt us and come what may.
Yeah.
That's the way we went with it.
Yeah.
But there is still that little, like, I guess, inkling in the back of my mind that's like, but what if? But what is it about? And
this is something
like
they'll
that.
do later. Again, we've already seen this, where they go, okay, you can go do this thing you were on your way to do, or you can do this other thing we just presented you with. You will not be able to do both.
And they're clear about that.
Yeah, and it's like, oh boy, ooh, those are great tense moments.
It is really good.
And then just the having visions of someone we lost in the party, seeing things, finding ourselves in like sort of a strange. It becomes. Before, it was like a monster movie. Now it becomes like a horror movie. It's like, the horror overtone is very...
psychological, kind of.
And then the big bad in this one is also much more sort of horror-fueled.
Oh, he was so good.
Other than, like, the first one's like a big monster. You're like, it's disgusting. It must be slain. It is disease-ridden, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. This one is more like, this will haunt my nightmares kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
And I thought that was really interesting. It worked a little bit differently. They still weren't doing what I thought was too crazy, the stuff that was too crazy. And they'll get to that. You know, we've already seen a couple of chapters that do crazier stuff. But that was chapter 2.
Yeah.
Again, good second step, I thought.
And that really, it helped us nail down those rules issues that we had in combat, having very similar first and second episodes in the combat.
Yeah.
Now, in the second one, you only have the one guy you're fighting, so you don't have all the little broodlings, things like that. But as far as the resolution and the flow of the fight felt very similar,
right.
Which I think was great for a first and second scenario.
And at this point in the campaign, we are getting used to Bastogne. We are getting used to our characters.
Yep.
I am playing, at this point, Rothgar is the name of my character. Yeah. And they are, they get the big axe and the I don't remember.
Got the big barbarian kind of character.
Big barbarian,
you're like,
guy.
The big heavy swings.
Right.
And, lots of melee.
And you're playing...
I'm the ranger
who jumps from tree to tree, and she's sort of like a part of the forest.
Right.
Then we've got a third We've mentioned that we're playing with 3, right?
Yeah, we have with Alex.
With Alex, and then he's playing.
He's playing the stealthy guy,
the daggers
the
guy.
Rogue,
that's right. That's a rogue.
Kerr, that's his name.
And then we've got one that's being run by a companion, right?
Because you have to play the 4.
And that is the
priest.
Priest.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, he's our support character and really good at healing.
Yeah.
Not as good as we needed, though.
True, because chapter 3, it really shakes things up. Again, by the time you start getting comfortable with everything, chapter 3 throws you basically an all-out assault on Bastogne, the city of Bastogne, to the point that a big part of it is you being chased through the city by an unstoppable monstrosity, basically.
And it's so cool because as you're going through it and it's it's revealing the story and you're trying to get these context clues of where this monster is going.
Right.
You hear him coming, you see the buildings tumbling down, but you don't know what he's going for. He's just running. And so you're like, oh man, I really need to make it over there to the apothecary. But he's heading what we think is north. I think we can jump over there. And you really see that directional clues kind of coming into play.
Yeah.
And he's closing in on you. And again, the text is giving you that, like, you don't want him to catch you. And you're like, I think we're okay to go west, maybe. Let's try it because we really need to check out this location.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really nice shake-up to the town, the first phase, the town phase.
Yeah.
But locations are like becoming unavailable because it's like, this location collapsed. You're like, oh, okay, let's adjust and go this way instead.
Yeah, they really like pull the rug out from under you when you, again, by the time you're sort of getting comfortable with your people, with your town, it's like, no, town, they wreck it. And they give you a very nasty choice at one point where they're like, well, you can sacrifice yourself. One of you can sacrifice yourselves to let the rest of the group escape or whatever
it all
is.
Culminates
and it's like,
right here on the edge, and it's like, one of you says, I'll stay back and cause a distraction. And it's like, choose. We're like, okay, well, maybe the big burly guy who can fight really well. So we had you, and it was kind of a for glory.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you stayed?
Like, bye.
You're dead. What?
So Rothgar.
Yeah. So Rothgar is no more, and we talk about Alex shouting a couple of times. You better mitigate that as we rolled dice, which will be our discussion in a second here, but this one was not one I could mitigate.
You could not mitigate that one.
So you'll find out on our next video who I'm playing now, or after this, I should say. And that's it for Rothgar. So that's chapter 3. Very interesting. Again, a bold move to let you get attached to a character over 3 chapters, let you get familiar with the town over 3 chapters, and then go, this world does not play safe.
Right. Yeah.
That is bold. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a really interesting move.
Right. I think it was really interesting being so early in the campaign.
Yeah.
3 episodes in, you're making this tough choice, and it's kind of forcing this feeling of, okay, we're a team, we're not individuals.
Yeah.
I will sacrifice for the team. So you are... What I'm finding now is I'm becoming attached to that team and how we balance each other, not the specific character I'm playing.
Right.
And that's really unique, I think, in this, to this campaign, I should say.
Yeah. So there you go. Now, we're talking about our discussion topic here at the end for today is going to be cards versus dice. This game gives you the option of doing both when you are performing combat or tests, and also when the baddies are doing it against you. We are doing dice. Pretty much exclusively, we're using dice, okay? And the benefit of that is fairly apparent. It is they're faster.
Yes, absolutely.
You grab a handful of dice, you chuck them, you read them, you're good to go.
And it has that little bit of tension, but then it's quick resolution. So you maintain the it feels more risky, more like
rolling dice feels
it.
good too, right?
Yeah. So that's a positive to it.
Yeah. I think the negative then, and well, for one thing, it robs this game of one of its core systems, actually, I think, and that is the card-driven, push your luck kind of combat. This idea of you can reveal as many as you want to. Keep going if you want. If you got 2 blanks, you bust. It's like, oh.
Right.
Okay, then it's not really as many as I want to. I love that. I love that sort of play.
Yeah.
It's on the player. You know what I mean? With dice, you could just get all blanks. It could happen. It's unlikely it could happen. With cards, you won't. Right. And that's the thing about the cards. The cards are pre-rolled faces, right? And they're stacked in there. You can, if you pull out a couple of blanks now, well, they're not in the deck then.
And that's really interesting card play at that point for your personal hand or your deck as well, because you have that one card that allows you to reshuffle, the discard hand. Because usually you don't reshuffle and reset those stats of that card with the blessings, with the, not cursed, I guess, but the zeros, the blanks. You don't do that until it completely runs out. Or when you play this one card, which only cost 1...
energy, whatever
Arcana, whatever it's called. Yeah, I forget what it's called. Amber. Oh, now it's going to bother me. But you don't get to do that. So you're also losing out on that card play. That there's some turns where you have that one left. You're like, I mean, the character I'm playing right now, I refresh all of my, again, Arcana, I can't remember the name of it, but you're refreshing it all.
I call it power juice.
Power juice. Your power juice is refresh. And so if I have one left over, it's not benefiting me the next round because I am refreshing all of it. I think it's a little different than the character you're playing. Anyway, so I want to use it. I want that card in my hand so I can play and... Fine, at least I'll reset the stats for us because we already have both of the blessings out of that deck. It makes that one card, that power on that card, useless. And that really doesn't feel great.
Yeah. Yeah. In theory, I love the card system. I love the idea of manipulating stats. I love the idea of using that card to our benefit, of knowing what could or could not happen. in theory, I like all of those things. Playing the game, which already is not a short game, it is slow, it is ponderous, and it expects you to, if you're really going to utilize the system, remember several decks for you and the baddies, right?
Yeah.
And it's a serious mental load. The only way I could see it happening is if you have one player at the table, and it is like, hey, your job is to keep track of which of these decks are loaded, good to go, and which ones we should cycle out again. And I'm like, hey, has this come out?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to check every time.
Well, as well as it increases the table space, and the game is already quite a table hog.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're playing on a full-size game table, and it's like utilizing every little nook and cranny and corner, you know. And one of the characters is a companion character. It's not even a full play area, you know. So it also takes up more table space to do it. But man, there is that satisfaction of knowing how far you can, the ever-changing odds of pushing your luck.
Right.
You know, gosh, that's such an interesting mechanism. The other kind of, I think, stepping it back here a little bit, the whole game, I don't like the fact that it has cards or dice as an option because of the way it complicates or just muddies the rule book and muddies the cards in your hands.
The text. Stuff. It's like, hey, you can reflip. What?
Right.
Oh, re-roll a die.
Right.
Got it.
And I wouldn't want it to say either because that's just more text I don't need. Draw cards or roll dice. Draw cards or roll dice. I mean, you don't want duplicate text. So kudos on them for at least saying, hey, all the text is going to be written this way, but anytime we say this, it also means this. But it also just muddies it then, because that's one more thing I have to remember and I have to accommodate. That takes me out of the experience. When it's such an immersive experience already, it just having that little like irk takes me out.
Sure.
So, but that being said, I mean, which do you personally prefer?
I prefer, again, and the idea of the cards is more interesting. I will sacrifice the idea of the cards and the interesting mechanism for game speed.
Yeah.
I prefer the dice, and I do wish that all the text everywhere said, you may re-roll your dice, or whatever.
Right. Or that one special card was, okay, you're not refreshing the deck, but maybe you get a reroll token or a combat token, or you get something. You know, I wish I had an alternate power with it. I think I'm there with you. I go dice, and while I'm sacrificing the cards, I'm also acknowledging that I get that excitement of that handful of dice. You know, and so, but I mean, really, I could have adapted either way. I think I wish it only had one. It's kind of where I fall. Right. I don't really care which one. Just don't give me a choice. You know, like I'll just adapt because they both have benefits.
So. Yeah, it's a nice piece of fan service that I wish they would just stick to their guns and be like, no, we made it with cards. That's the way it is. Or no, we made it with dice. That's the way it is. I know the cards came first, which is why all the text is the way it is.
And luckily, we're all three on the same page.
Yeah.
Because if Alex was like, no, I want to use cards, and I was like, no, I want to use dice, well, I mean, fisticuffs, and I'm not scared.
I think you can technically, again, go back and forth, though. That's the thing.
I guess so, yeah. So there's...
Yeah.
So anyway.
So there you go, folks.
Both there.
That is it for our chapters 1, 2, and 3 and our discussion here. We will be back with the next few chapters. We'll tell you what's been going on, talk about our characters a little more, and have another discussion topic to bring you. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think? Where do you fall on this cards versus dice thing? And what are we missing? What should we do instead? Why is one better than the other? Just tell us your thoughts. Yeah. That's it. That's going to do it for us. My name is Zee Garcia.
I'm Camilla.
We will see you on the next one. Watch out for the Deepwood.
And keep mitigating.
Yeah, mitigate
that.
Better mitigate that.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.